Kayla Ogden.
And I'm Rachel Sear.
And this is...
Write Your Heart Out.
And it's a Storytime episode.
Yeah, we have two separate people that we do not know.
We don't know these people.
That have submitted their work.
And they're men, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which we were both a little shocked by in the fact that, like, are you guys all men out there?
Hi, boys. And Rachel berates you all the time.
I know, I'm such a man hater.
A bunch of Louis C.K.'s and you just want mommy to give you that spanking?
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it.
Okay, this is like a very unprofessional way to introduce the writers.
Oh, yeah. What if this is so rude to them?
Yeah, imagine we sent in our work to a guy's podcast and they were like, oh, hey, little girl, you want daddy to show you what's going on?
I mean, I think that hopefully you guys are listeners to the show, Chris and
Barry.
So you guys know our personalities a little
and
bit.
our sense of humor, yeah.
And hopefully you guys are laughing right this very moment.
Yeah, don't sue us because we don't make any money off the show.
Yeah, please don't. But what's fun about Barry is this morning I was checking my email and he had sent in a little note via our website, writeyourheartoutpod.com. It just said, can I submit a horror story? And I, of course, wrote back, absolutely. And if you can get it in the next 2 hours, we're about to record. And he sent it in. It's so exciting.
Yeah.
Horror story. I'm scared.
I have it in my hands. And Rachel has tasked me with reading this one.
Yep.
And then she'll read the two short pieces by
Chris. And Chris, he sent in two separate ones. One from when he was first starting to write, and one from when he's developed a little bit more of his skills. We have not read any of this yet, so we're going into this blind, just like you guys.
We ask people on the forum what they'd like us to comment on. Like, would you like critiques or nothing, or or is there specific parts of the story you want us to talk about? And Barry Malone said, any and all. So he is open.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. I'm nervous. What if this scares us? Barry!
Oh, well, I like a good horror story.
Yeah, me too.
I think
Scary.
we're in for it.
Keep us up at night.
Before we start, do you have anything that you need to report?
Okay, so I received a developmental edit letter back from Cornerstone's literary consultancy.
Okay.
And my editor is called Fiona McLaren.
Okay.
And she lives on Cyprus, which I looked up. Have you ever seen a picture of fucking Cyprus?
The island?
Yeah. It's like, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. I'm so jealous of her. She's just tooling around Cyprus, editing stories, so dreamy. Anyway, she was so good. And I'm going to bring the letter to our next recording. And I can talk to you about all the stuff I learned.
Okay, I'm Googling Cyprus real quick because I want to...
Go to an island?
Yeah, Cyprus Island in the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
Wowzers. I just wanted to see it for myself.
Ugh. To die.
Is it part of Greece? Yeah. It's never been a Greek island, it says. Why would it say that to me right now?
Did it hear you say that?
It's in the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
Okay, and so is
Greece.
Like
Crete and
okay,
yeah.
so they're adjacent.
Sure. But that's where she is.
Amazing.
Yeah, and she did such a good job. And I guess there were a lot of things that I could work on in my book that I'm trying to get published, Pillow Forts Down. But she gave a lot of really great feedback.
Good.
Including she said that it was a fabulous read.
Okay.
And a really strong novel.
I love it, Kayla.
Isn't that so special?
It's so special. I'm so excited.
Because the only other people who have read it are 4 of my friends. Like 4 of my mom friends from our book club who... I even gave them the caveat when I asked them to be my beta readers. I said, just don't be mean. Like, please just say nice things. Like,
yeah, right.
And literally they did. And then I couldn't trust it. So it was sort of like a silly exercise. But yeah, so we'll talk about all the things that I'm learning through that process. And hopefully it'll help listeners with their self-editing and stuff too.
Amazing. Okay, so in the next episode, obviously this is story time. We had talked about doing our voice exercise for this episode because we thought we only had one submission. But now we're going to move that exercise to the next episode and then really just focus on these submissions because we're so excited about them.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to read Barry Malone's horror story.
Woohoo! Here we go.
Called Pink Rotary Telephone. Billy Howell stood frozen at the front door, his old key pushed in, waiting to be turned. It couldn't be, he thought. Is that? His mother's old pink rotary telephone was an obsolete piece of technology, rescued, as his mother put it, from a second-hand store in the now obsolete town of Gabath. Had a shrill ringing sound that was different to any phone he had heard, a distinct tone that was totally unique to itself. It was a forgotten memory, the sound the phone made when it rang, that flooded back to him with each shrill drill. Do you hear that? He asked, still facing the front door of his mother's house. Yeah, who'd be calling your mother? You told everyone, didn't you? Kathy said in her thick Bostonian accent. I did. Mommy, a voice from their rental spoke out. Billy hated the whiny tone the kid had. It was like nails on a chalkboard to him. That, added to the fact that the child was being raised as the second coming. Must not raise your voice and can't tell him no. Some new age parenting style discovered by the Yanks and popularized by the mothers in yoga pants. Not the way I was raised, Billy thought. A swift kick up the hole and be on your way was how he was reared. That's the difference between the Irish and American way of raising a kid. What could he say? It wasn't his kid at the end of the day. Maybe if it was, the kid's voice wouldn't grate on him as much. Maybe he'd be more open to the never say no method. Although that sounds like a one-way ticket to raising a future sex offender. 1 minute, dear, Kathy called back. Probably a cold caller or something. Get the door open, hun. It's freezing. He snapped out of his semi-trance and flicked the key and pushed down on the handle. The sound of the ringing phone hit him like a wave. Memories that Billy thought had been thrown off a cliff rushed back to him, overwhelming him into closing the door shut. He was sweating now. Cold beads of sweat dripped from his forehead. Geez, they won't let up, Kathy said, carrying Chase on her hip. Think they'd get the picture by now. She plopped Chase by her feet. It doesn't stop. What? Nothing. He pulled the key from the door and started walking towards the car. I think we should do this tomorrow. There's a hotel in the town. Let's get a room. And she stopped him with a hand on his chest. His heart was beating hard, and he had no doubt that she felt it. He hoped that she would assume that it was too overwhelming for him, that clearing out his mother's house was too much, and they could leave. Let that incessant phone scream out until it runs its bells dull. I get it, hun. But the sooner that we start, the sooner we're done. And Chase wants to see your old room, don't you, buddy? She rubbed his chest and went on saying something else, but Billy didn't hear. No, all he heard was the phone ringing. Billy? Her big brown eyes stared up at him. Sorry, what? Let's get in there, order some takeout, and plug that damn phone out. She reached up on her tippy toes and gave him a peck on the lips while lifting the keys from his grip. Sounds great, Billy thought, but the phone's already unplugged. It's never been plugged in.
Ooh.
When the door opened, Billy saw the phone resting on the hallway table. An old lamp, also rescued from a second-hand store, sat beside it. Both rested on a white counter protectors that had been knitted by Billy's Aunt Helen. Beyond that was the kitchen, then living area to the left. Despite having not been in the house in over 15 years, Billy still remembered every inch of the place. Let me get the phone, he said. You guys go straight through to the kitchen. As mother and son went through, he stopped and stood over the pink rotary telephone. Still, it rang, mocking him. Answer me. He ripped it up and brought it outside to the car. He thought about throwing it, then placed it in the passenger seat, sure that the receiver was still on the cradle. When he came back in, Chase was in the beginnings of a temper tantrum. But you said I could play with the toys when we got here, and I want to play with them now, he whined, with his tone getting louder, more petulant. Kathy presided over him like a priestess, trying to calm a rising wave that was bound to turn into a tsunami, useless and ignorant to every try. I want them now. Billy rubbed the back of his neck. Ringing began to buzz in his ear, and a vice grip began tightening around his brain. Now, now, now. The child's gradual ascent to full-blown meltdown was reaching apex. His face was red. Tears started cascading down his cheeks, leaving slug-like tracks on his face. Answer me, answer me, answer me, answer. God damn it, will you shut up? Billy yelled. The tsunami suddenly retreated and turning back into a gentle tide and buried his face into his mother's leg. Kathy, incredulous, mouth opened and shut like a fish out of water, looking for the right words. Bill left her gaping and went upstairs for his old room. On the way up, the child started crying again, and outside, the phone still rang. His room hadn't changed. It was an Irish mother thing. They were so sure that whatever hopeless woman their son attached himself to would sooner or later send him packing back to Mammy's, where his room would be there waiting for him. Billy was no exception. Kathy loved him, sure, but maybe after that little temper tantrum of his own, his old room will come in handy. Closing his door, he let the silence fall over him, dropping his head in his hands, and exhaled. Deep breaths to override the mental break he could swear was coming, if not already there. He had forgotten about the pink rotary telephone, forgot about Helen and Dermot, forgot about his father. He forgot it all. Not them, no, he didn't forget them. But the insanity of the phone and its... A knock on the door snapped him back. Bill, can I come in? Kathy had an impeccable talent of sounding calm whilst also carrying an edge of irritation and fury, not allowing you to know what way she will approach, and in turn not giving you time to prepare. He stepped away from the door, opened it, and was relieved not to hear the sound of a ringing phone or the howls of a crying brat. Kathy stepped into his old room and looked around. Billy took a seat on the bed. I think you're right, she said. Chase and I will get a hotel in town, and you can stay here. Christ, Kathy, can you give me a break? My mother's dead a month. I'm here to gut out her house so we can sell the fucking thing, and the first thing I have to deal with is Chase having a meltdown. He wanted to drop his head back into his hands, but he met her eyes, refused to drop them. A shrill ringing blared somewhere, but he was sure it was in his head. It pounded. He so desperately wanted to drop his head to his pillow and wake up back in Boston. I get that this is a difficult situation for you, but Chase is a child, and you can't speak to him like that. Or me. You know I hate swearing. The ringing in his head grew stronger, more intense. Well, you know what, Kathy? Fuck you too. Fuck you and fuck Chase. What kind of name is that anyway? If you have another, are you going to call him hide and seek? Pick a real name and tell the kid no every once in a while. Yeah, you're right. Sorry. And he dropped his head into his hands. Chase? She scooted over him, hands on hips, like the very person whose house their clearing out occasionally done when he was younger. I'll talk to him later. He fell backwards onto the bed. I just need to close my eyes. My head is ringing. He was with his mother when she bought the phone. Mr. McGinn was behind the counter. He was a tall man, bald except for an island of hair at the back of his head, stretching ear to ear. His face was long and his glasses hung from his neck, and both ears were equipped with hearing aids. A box of cigarettes bulged in his breast pocket. Are you sure you want this, Mrs.? It's fit for the skip, sure. I've plenty there that work. He pulled a cigarette out, offered one to Billy's mother, lit hers and then his. It rings all right, but it must be on the fritz because it rings when it's not plugged in, and you can't call no one on it. Billy remembers looking at the two of them, their heads lost in plumes of smoke, like giants with their heads in the clouds. Not at all, Mr. McGinn. I have a phone that works fine. I just like the looks of it. What do you think, Bill? He remembers saying he didn't like it. Pink is for girls, after all. Well, I won't charge you. I was going to skip it anyways. Don't know why I put it out in the first place. He remembers his mother arguing, friendly, good-natured arguing, insisted that she pay something. A back and forth of offers and refusals between the two that didn't stop until the phone rang. You may pick it up, Mr. McGinn said. It doesn't stop until it's lifted off the receiver. Before picking it up himself. Hello? He spoke down the phone, and he and Billy's mother laughed. It's for you, and he handed the phone to Billy. As he lay on his bed, the sound of a car door slamming shut stirred him, and he remembered Mr. McGinn, always so kind to his mother, was found dead the next day after giving them the phone. He never found out how he died. He was too young, but he was glad that he died because he was the man who gave them the pink rotary telephone.
Ooh.
When they took it home from McGinn's secondhand store, it found a place in upstairs landing. For a while, it was kept downstairs near the phone that actually worked, and not for decoration. But Billy's father kept picking up the wrong phone, so they moved it upstairs. The thing is, the pink phone never rang once. Billy and his mother placed bets on when it would ring. His father made jokes that Mr. McGinn would ring wanting payment after all. That's what killed him, giving something away for free, he used to joke. And despite the bad taste of it, they all laughed. The phone rang early in the morning around 3 a.m., although it could have been earlier, but no one heard it. Billy got out of bed. He remembers being cold. The light from the moon casting a brilliant silver light onto the upstairs landing from the window next to the stairs. He could see his reflection from the window, black and colorless. He watched himself as he picked up the phone and held it to his ear. "Hello?" he asked. He doesn't remember what happened next. Not going to bed, nor the fact that his mother appeared on the landing and asked who it was. Although now, nearly 20 years later, half asleep, he is sure he heard something. A voice saying Peter, his father's name. His father died 2 days after the call, a brain hemorrhage causing blood to spit out from his eyes, ears, and mouth. Billy was too young to know this, but youth doesn't spare a kid from finding his father splayed out in the backyard over a lawnmower. His father was laid out in Moorestown Funeral Home for 2 nights, and Billy's mother spent both nights there with Peter. It was a common practice, still is, he thinks, as he wards off sleep. I should really sit up, he thinks to himself. I'm sure that was Kathy leaving. He tries to sit up. Get to work on getting rid of this headache, then back to work at forgetting the phone. But he knows that's impossible. He needs to destroy the phone or bury the thing or burn it. He shoots up in his bed. What feels like a tidal wave of blood whooshes around his skull and nausea weighs his stomach down. He feels the blood drain from his face. He falls back onto the bed and throws the cover over his head. The sudden darkness soothes his headache, and he loosens his eyes but does not open them. He drifts to sleep and dreams reluctantly, remembering. Aunt Helen stayed with him the nights his mother was away at the funeral parlor. She was 7 months pregnant, set to have a baby boy. She wore dresses that stretched from her shoulders to her ankles, and a cardigan. She, like Billy and his mother, had long blonde hair that she tucked behind her ears and gray eyes. Her face was bespotted with little freckles. She had been seeing a soldier who went AWOL when he heard that she was with child, but that never seemed to bother her. She was thrilled to be pregnant. A chronic asthmatic, she was told that she might never have children, so she didn't care if the father was some deserter. On the second night, the night of her miscarriage, Billy rested his head on her lap, her dress damp with his tears as she stroked his cheek and told him that everything would be okay, that her and the new baby would move in and live with his mom and him.
Aww.
"What's the baby's name?" he asked through sobby inhales. "I don't have one yet." And maybe sensing a good distraction, "Want to help me come up with a name?" They spent the next hour conjuring up names, starting serious, then devolving into joke names. "Poohhead," Billy suggested. "That was supposed to be your name, you know." And they both laughed. "Dermot is a good name, isn't it?" he asked. "I could call him Dermo for short." She thought it over, then frightened him when she yelled the name. "What are you doing?" "Well, it's important for a mammy to give a name that's easy to shout for when he's in trouble," she said before yelling Dermot. They laughed, and Helen continued to call her unborn son Dermot, Dermot. "Answer me, Dermot. Answer me, Dermot. Answer me." Laughing again, Billy joined in, both yelling and laughing, and when they were finished, they agreed that Helen's baby boy and Billy's first cousin would be called Dermot. He doesn't remember going to bed, just the phone, the goddamn phone, ringing. Helen was in the living room. Billy walked to the top of the stairs and looked down. Flickering light from the TV flashed onto the walls of the hall. He could see the reflection of whatever show his aunt was watching on the sitting room window. Outside it was black. He picked up the phone. "Hello?" Silence. "Please stop calling." Still silence. Billy began to lower the phone when he raised it to his ear. "Dermot," a voice said back to him. Billy let the phone drop, and he ran back to bed, then crashing to a stop, changed course, and darted downstairs to Helen. She comforted him as he told her everything, through bated breath and stifled sobs, everything except that the voice sounded just like his father. "It's okay," she told him, her hand rubbing his shoulder as he lay with his head in her lap. "It's just a nightmare, that's all." Her hands moved in circular motion, comforting him. Then her hands stopped, and she pushed Billy off her. She stood up and held her stomach. Doubling over, she howled a guttural roar of pain as clotted blood rushed down her legs onto the carpet. Her mouth fell open, and she looked at Billy with eyes that begged for help. She reached out for him, but another bout of pain cascaded through her, and she doubled over on her knees. More blood rushed from her, painting her thighs a cerris red. Then Billy ran. He ran for the front door and stopped. The phone was ringing. A mixture of fear and anger carried his feet upstairs, where he answered the phone. "Leave her alone," he yelled. "Leave us alone." Silence. He hung up before he heard a response. Aunt Helen died on the sitting room floor the same night that she miscarried her child, screaming her child's name. "Dermot! Dermot! Bring Dermot! Bring! 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 Bring!" He shot up in bed, let his eyes adjust, and checked his watch. 20:45 p.m. He had slept for nearly 4 hours. His headache settled a bit, but what was that? No. Bring. No. Bring. Kathy must have dropped the phone back in. He rushed to the door and took 2 steps at a time down the stairs before stopping dead. The phone had stopped ringing. "No, no, hang up the phone." He jumped the remaining steps and fell into the hallway where Chase stood, receiver to his ear. "Hello?" Billy snatched the phone from the child and held it to his ear. "Stop calling us. Leave us alone." "Kathy," a voice said. The phone slid from his fingers and bounced on the tiles. Chase picked it back up and returned it to his ear. "Hello?" Chase took the phone and placed it back in its cradle. "Where's Mom?" he asked. "In there." Chase pointed towards the kitchen. Billy walked towards the dark room, flicked the switch on, saw, then flicked the switch off. "Why did you answer the phone?" he asked the child. "Because it was ringing." "What's Mommy doing?" He walked past Billy, but he blocked him. "Mommy's sleeping. You shouldn't have answered the phone." "I want Mommy." Billy felt the rage build up. He was about to shout, "Your mommy's dead, kiddo. Just you and me now, and you're going to hear a lot of no's from Daddy." But then, joining in, the phone rang. Chase turned to answer, but was stopped by Billy. "No," he said. Then began to walk the child to the front door. He took the keys from beside the phone and opened the door. He looked back at the kitchen door, the phone still howling, and shut the door behind him. Throughout the house, the ringing bells of the pink rotary telephone echoed. Billy re-entered the house, looked at the phone. "God damn you," and answered it. It was 50-50 as to whose name was spoken. To Billy, it was win-win.
Oh, damn.
Damn! Oh,
Billy, it was win-win. Rough.
Barry Malone. So I think that if I were Irish, I would have read that better. There's certain turns of phrase I think that you guys must have that we don't really have. But anyway,
Sure,
I did my
sure.
best. This isn't about me. This is about you, Barry Malone, and your story, Pink Rotary Telephone.
What a great little suspenseful story.
I know.
I mean, wow. I'm into it. I totally would want that to be a longer story. I would read more.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. So you have a protagonist who is that a likable character for you? And we're moms, by the way. So
Sure.
This is definitely going to color like our perception. But
Absolutely.
I wonder if Barry feels like Billy is like a likable character that you're rooting for. Or were you rooting for?
Not really. I feel like he was very a ho-hum kind of guy.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, clearly in a bad way, right? Like, he's not well. His mom just died.
Yeah.
All of it.
This character, Billy Howells, is at his worst when we find him in the story,
Exactly.
right? He's really stressed out.
But he doesn't even like that kid. So,
I know,
like,
which
I'm kind of like,
sucks.
ugh. I mean, that's not a great... So he's not a super likable guy.
No.
Yeah.
And I think that we should tell everyone in the world, if you don't like a person's child or children, just don't date them.
Yeah, don't date them. Don't do
find
that.
somebody else.
Yeah. They're a package deal.
It's not your fault. It's not their fault. I mean, just back away. Back away.
Agreed.
Yeah. Anyway, fine. What did you like most about the story?
I thought it had a great suspense. It dropped in. The cadence of it was good, and it built out their relationship, Kathy and his, and just enough where you care that if they're going to be in the house or not. You know, the telephone piece of how it dropped the shop owner, and then the dad, and then the people who are dying, you care about them more and more as, you know...
Yeah.
Started with someone who we didn't really care about, and then built up to the aunt who obviously you do care about.
Yes.
And then Kathy, who you're supposed to care the most about because she's in current timing.
Yes. Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was like, that building action in terms of the people who are dying. I didn't think of that.
Although having said that, I think that I would have loved like a little bit more of endearing us to Kathy.
Yeah.
So that it was more traumatic when she's dead.
Yeah, because the most traumatic death was the aunt, probably.
Right.
Right? We loved her.
Right.
Loved
The aunt
her.
was clearly great.
That was such a traumatizing moment in Billy's life. And it's interesting that now it's like Billy had his aunt who was such a wonderful kind of maternal figure for him when he was a little boy. And then now he's dating someone who's sort of like that with the little boy,
right,
but he hates the little boy.
Right.
It's like, do you hate the boy or do you hate yourself, Billy?
Right. Well, that's why it's 50-50 at the end.
Yes.
Which I loved that last line.
Okay.
That was a great one.
That was great. And that you didn't tell us who it was. He's like, well, now that this has happened, I don't care if I live or die.
Right. And I don't like this kid, so I don't care if he lives or dies.
Yeah. And this
right.
kid is going to have a shitty life without his mother anyways.
Right.
Yeah. I thought that the scene with the aunt was the strongest.
Definitely.
It was awesome. Yeah, it was really, really beautifully done. I think if I were to have a critique, it would just be, if you're going over it again, I would look for just repetitive words.
Sure.
Like in the second paragraph, you called the Rotary Telephone obsolete, but then you also called the town obsolete. I wasn't sure if you did that repetition like on purpose, but then I found it again. One of the last paragraphs, then began to walk the child to the front door. He took the keys from the bedside phone and opened the door. He looked back to the kitchen door.
Oh, yeah, it was a lot of doors.
And shut the door behind him, door to door. So I find that with like staging the characters, that happens to me all the time with like the opening and shutting of the door.
Yeah.
But you don't always have to include all of that unless it's like meaningful.
Sure.
Like you think that you need to say that you shut the door behind you, but you might not even need to say that. It's just implied. Things like that.
Right.
And yeah, I thought that it was really, really good. So thank you.
I liked it. Thank you so much for that. I would love to read more of your work.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if you're influenced by Stephen King. At first, when I realized that the phone was going to say a name and then that people were going to die, I thought, oh, well, this is something that's been done before. But I thought that you handled that in like a really fresh way. When I first learned, like I said, that the phone was going to say who was going to die, I thought that maybe the rest of the story was going to be kind of cliche or like a well-trodden path.
Sure.
But you did such a great job of creating this emotional territory and all the different relationship dynamics and feelings. It was good enough to overcome that, I think. And so it felt really good and fresh. So thank you so much.
And I'm also so curious. I would love to know if there's a sequel to this. If like, how many people has the mom been killing over the year? How many times has the phone rang and the mom picked it up and then people around town were just dying?
Oh yeah. Did it ever say that the mom died?
No,
the mom
it's
never
only
dies.
the kids who ever pick it up. The little boy or Chase and little Billy. no adults ever picked
Oh,
up the
but
phone, right?
Kathy.
At the...
No, not Kathy. Does
Wait a
the
second.
aunt pick it up?
Okay, so in the beginning when he's in the shop...
Mr. McGinn picks it up and he says...
So was that a miss... Was it Billy who picked it up? And then they said whatever's name, and then he hands it to Mr. McGill saying, like, it's for you.
Yeah, he says, it's for you, and he handed the phone to Billy.
Oh, okay, so then the name, it was supposed to say Billy?
He says, it's for you, and he handed the phone to Billy. But then he never says, or the writer never writes what the phone had said after he handed it to Billy.
Yeah, but if Mr. whatever picked up the phone and said it's for you,
Then it would have been
the name
Billy.
Or...
What?
I don't understand. I don't... Okay.
Is Billy dead? Is Billy dead?
Okay.
But this is interesting to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in terms of like ingratiating us to Kathy, we should just give Kathy's character like a quirk or so obviously she cares for her child, which we love.
Mm-hmm.
And she's being patient with Billy and she's helping him and all that stuff. But at the moment, the character is a little bit, she's not fleshed out enough, I think, for us to really love her. Whereas somehow with the auntie, she really came to life.
She did.
So I think just a few more details about Kathy would really help. But
yeah, some sort of sweet moment between them. It's almost there when she like puts her hand on his chest and she like rubs his chest. And
yeah,
it's
that's
like,
nice.
That was a cute one. But like, I feel like there needed to be just a touch of resolve when she's sitting next to him on the bed. She's saying that her and Chase are going to spend the night somewhere else.
Yeah.
If there was just a little bit more of a connection moment there, then that would have like solved it. Then we would care when she's dead.
Billy, it's almost like he's like, I guess he's joking, but he said, well, it's a good thing that my mammy kept my room the same because
Right.
maybe I'm going to need it.
Right.
Right. So it's like he's already kind of thinking that things are going rocky with
Totally.
Kathy and he hates the kid. And so it's kind of like maybe this relationship isn't
Totally.
that strong and maybe he doesn't love her that much. I think Billy should love Kathy so much.
Yeah.
And then because it was like he would love Kathy so much that he's willing to try his best to be in this child's life.
Right.
And bring her into his mother's home and show this vulnerability. I think that if he loved her, that her death would...
More impactful.
Yeah. But there is an impact
Of
with
course,
her death
absolutely.
because also you realize right away, like, oh no, this means he's going to be stuck with the kid.
Right. And I don't think we need to like the kid. I think the kid
No, the
is
kid's-
great.
yeah.
Right?
The kid's just a kid.
Yeah, I just feel like in that moment when they're sitting on the bed together, Billy could say something or think something that just is so beautiful about Kathy that would make us cling to her, you know?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
how much he loves her. I agree.
Or that he like needs her to stay.
Yeah.
But he's not sure that she's safe. And so he's just going to let her go. And she wouldn't believe him anyways.
Sure.
Yeah, something. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, that's our feedback. You said any and
Any and
all.
all.
And we gave you all. And we gave you any.
Barry, thank you so much. And
Thank
thank you
you.
for listening all the way in Ireland.
And write in again.
Please do.
Yeah.
And
Scare the shit out of
scare
us.
us. Scare us. We like it.
Okay.
Okay, so now my turn to read. These are shorter stories by Chris Ritchey. And let's see, we'll start with, and his commentary preferences are any and all, again, but he says, this story I wrote a few years ago when I was starting to be more serious about writing. So we don't know anything else about Chris. We don't know how old you are or where you're from.
Do you ask people for a brief bio or anything?
No, but maybe I should update our
That'd be cool.
website. I would love
Nice
more
to know
info.
more about the people.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Okay.
And a picture. No, just kidding. A glamour shot. A little boudoir. No, we're not like that.
Okay. A debtor's prison.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Oh, God, don't look at him. I hear them say that every time I walk by their little group. They don't know that I hear them, even though they say it what I'd call a loud stage whisper. That's probably why I never hang out with them. It's a whole new level of stupidity that I don't want to get on me. It's not like I have to pass by them either. I could go down 3 different paths that wouldn't put me near them. I'm mostly just happy that I make them miserable. We all have to go out into the world after the afternoon meeting, so if I can add a bit of agony that they carry around all day, why not? How's it going, Al? I take my usual seat, plonking down next to the only person who can stand me. Hey, Ralphie. He slaps me on the back, harder than is socially acceptable. Boy, oh boy, I heard you're getting a sweet deal today. Like it matters, it's all the same. I don't even break out a notepad anymore. I could sleep through this thing. But then the boss would put me on the rack for it. Ha! You say that now. He leans in closer, his breath reeking of onion bagels. But a little baddie told me that you've earned a special reward. Yeah, sure thing. Nothing was special down here. That's how they designed it. In the beginning, you don't really catch that they give you assignments that are just a little off. They're slowly boiling you to the point where you don't flinch when they hand you the knife. The big guy does this his usual spiel about how there aren't quotas, but some of us need to step up our game. He talks about a new technique some millennial was trying out, but I always find solace in doing things the old-fashioned way. He passes out the assignments. I stop right outside the door and read mine. I slam the door behind me as I march back into the conference room. I'm not doing it. Oh, Ralphie, it's funny that you think you have a choice after all these years. He lights up his cigar, staring me down. You've become complicit and much worse, and have no room to back out now. I've held on to this one for 30 years, waiting until you were in too deep. Damn you. I knew there was no way to get out of it. My sins have buried me. I walked solemnly towards the departure bay, not knowing how I'd accomplish my mission. You never get used to materializing back on Earth. Normally, it was somewhere you've never been. Sometimes you get to scare tourists spending a night in a haunted hotel. Other times you just pop up in someone's bedroom and mess with their dreams a bit. You never really get the chance to get revenge on a neighbor who had a dog that wouldn't shut up, or the coworker who cooked fish in the microwave. So, as you might imagine, getting this one was causing some anxiety. The vibrant oranges were fading to black in the sky, initiating the planning period. I crept around, admiring the quaint house. The weeping willow in the back looks like the one from her favorite painting. As I continue around the house, I freeze. If I had a heart, it would have skipped a beat. Even after all these years, she still has power over me. I draw closer until she gazes through me. It wouldn't be long until she saw me as some vile creature, or Miss Drury, her 6th grade homeroom teacher. Until then, I remain a spiritual plane, slightly off from her reality. There is no way I'm meeting any quotas tonight. She continued to read her book and drink her chamomile tea until our grandfather clock struck 11. She was always a night owl, but she never missed a chance to chastise me for staying up late. She was right to, of course. I never handled sleep deprivation with grace. Even when I wanted to take care of the kids, when they woke up in the middle of the night, she would take over and kick me back to bed. She was a better woman than I deserved. She closes up shop and heads inside. Following her in, I stand by her as she looks at the pictures on the wall. Our kids are all grown, married, and with children. I don't see her with anyone else, which I thought would make me happy, but I just want to hug and tell her how sorry I am. She strolls down the hall to her bedroom and turns on the radio, slightly dancing as she gets ready for bed, which still drives me wild. Oh, Jenny, why did he have to choose you? You've done nothing to deserve this. I reach out to caress her cheek, but she spins away at the end of the song with flourish. Suddenly, she sits down on the bed and puts her face into her hands. Only after I kneel next to her does it hit me. The first time I ever saw your face, our song, came on the radio. Damn him. I run back to the exit, through the empty halls, and storm into his office. Ralphie, my boy, back so soon? I can't do it. You knew I couldn't. He has the audacity to feign shock. I would never do such a thing. Tapping the ash from his cigar. Of course, I'll have to add this to your debt. Such infractions carry a steep cost. Pulls out my ledger, lazily turning the pages. I'll never understand you humans. There are thousands of stories warning you about making deals with me, but I still have to hold new employee orientations every week.
Oh.
So he had made a deal with the devil. Interesting.
That's sad. Do you think that he had gone to like kill his wife?
Yeah, it sounds like they do the devil's work, and
Or something
They
bad
do
to her.
Yeah, something
But we
bad to
don't
her.
know.
He was going to haunt her in some way.
And she spins around. I love that visual of going to caress her cheek, but she spins around with a flourish.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm so glad I didn't read this ahead of time because I feel like you're going to hear us figure it all out in real time. But when he says, I draw closer until she grazes through me. It wouldn't be long until she saw me as some vile creature or Miss Drury, her 6th grade homeroom teacher. So they're like there to haunt people or like just to scare the shit, like Monsters Inc. style. They're to scare them.
Okay.
I'm getting some like grown-up Monsters Inc. vibes.
What do the Monsters Inc. monsters supposed to do?
They collect screams. Like, they're there to scare kids to collect the screams.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember that, but yeah, okay. What do they need the screams for?
Well, in Monsters Inc., they need them to power the monster, like, world. Obviously.
Oh, I thought this was a Monsters Inc. retelling. That's what you were saying.
Well,
I'm just kidding. But there's some similarities. Like, it's like the ghosts are supposed to scare people. For the devil.
That's what I'm getting.
Yeah, what does the devil want from us? Like, in lore, like in the Bible.
Well, that's a good question. You would know better than I.
Yeah, I know he roams the earth in sheep's clothing, and that the wages of sin are death, and he sends doubts. He sends fiery arrows of doubt.
Okay.
I think he just wants to, in the Bible, in the ones the Protestants read, he wants to take you further and further away from God.
Right.
To death, like in hell with him for eternity.
Okay.
But I don't know if that doesn't seem like that's what these ghosts would be doing. They're more just scaring her. Unless he came to kill her. But if the devil sent him to kill his wife, it's like then the wife would be going to hell, right?
I guess.
Oh,
so
no.
then there's his friend, his quote unquote friend, the person who can stand him, Al. He seems pretty happy to be there. He's like, you're gonna get a sweet deal today,
Yeah,
So
why
like,
is it a sweet deal?
and then there's the group that hate him.
Okay, what's the writer's name again?
Chris.
Okay, Chris, you gotta email us and tell us what the fuck is going on here.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. First of all, actually, this is probably like 8th of all because we've already been talking about this for a long time. But your work is giving us so many questions.
Totally.
It's the type of thing that you want to read twice or 3 times to be like, oh, what was that again?
Totally.
And I like how at the beginning of the work, it's like you don't really know where you are.
Totally.
It takes a while to get your bearings. And I like the way that you eased us into this, I guess it's maybe hell or limbo or whatever. The dialogue from that character that said, how you doing, baddie?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. I heard from a baddie.
Yeah, I heard from a baddie.
A batty. And it's like, it's kind of like a human saying, oh, a little birdie told me, but
Right.
they're in hell. So it's like a little bat.
Right. Well, when I first read that, I was like, okay, so we had one guy from Ireland, and now where's this guy from? Who says like a little baddie? But then, then it like full circle. You're like, oh, another short story by Chris. This one is one of his more recent works, and his commentary preferences were any is appreciated. This is more recent work venturing into the literary genre. This one is called Juliet. Since I was 5 years old, I aspired to be an astronaut. Everything from my toothbrush to my bedsheets was space-themed. My parents thought it was a phase, but at 12, they sent me to the Space Academy. And when the Challenger shuttle launched on my 13th birthday in 1986, my dad drove me to the Cape Canaveral. It took 73 seconds to destroy my entire world. I spiraled into darkness. Void of feeling and desires, my grades plummeted, and I began to have thoughts about ending it all. My parents couldn't get through to me, not that my father was ever much of the emotional type. Mom said it had something to do with his time in Vietnam. That all changed with spring break. My father came into my room after school on Friday, looked at me sternly, and nodded. I think you're old enough to sail, Juliet. My eyes went wide. Juliet was the name of our sailboat. It was his father's, and he had inherited it when his father passed. He never let anyone else touch the helm. And since you're off school next week, I thought you and I could take her out for a few days. I'll be your first mate. He paused and caught my eye. If that's all right with you, Skipper. I couldn't contain myself. Can we go tomorrow? I don't remember when we woke up, but the sun was just breaking over the horizon as we arrived in the marina. Never before had the sun glinting off the hull of a 40-foot sloop left me more awestruck. I walked over to the helm and grasped it firmly as I took in the breeze of the ocean. Request permission to come aboard. My father surprised me, standing at attention with a sharp salute. For a moment, a mirage of the stories that my grandfather told me came to life. A young man whose sense of joy hadn't been perverted by whatever horrors he had witnessed. I returned the salute. Permission granted. He eyed the horizon as we set sail. That's good, but bring her 2 degrees to port and hold until we clear the buoy. Do I need to trim the sail? What does your gut tell you? My face grew stern as I looked at this instrument. No, I think it's fine for now. My father smiled and nodded and leaned back to enjoy the sunrise. Every bad thing in the world melted into the ocean. The undertow drowned into the depths. The first day at sea was the most freeing, yet nerve-wracking experience of my life. My father, true to his word, only followed orders. He provided some guidance in the form of, "Are you sure that's what you want to do?" But ultimately, he let me deal with my mistakes. I was worn out but didn't want to stop. There was something so freeing about being out in the middle of nowhere. The noise of the city, other people, my own thoughts, all of it was drowned out by the lapping of waves, the sun on my skin, and the needs of Juliet. In the middle of the second night, a gentle nudge woke me. "Son, I need you to get up on deck." I rubbed my eyes and followed him out of the cabin. He took up a seat on top of the cabin and patted next to him. My skin had already started to get goosebumps from the briskness of the night air rolling off the Atlantic. We sat there for a long while, billions of twinkling lights strewn out before us. I always enjoyed the stars when we went camping, but out there felt endless. I could dive in and swim along among them. I began to cry as my dreams came back to me. There we were, earthbound, yet swallowed up in the majesty of the heavens. "How does it make you feel, to be one among billions of lights?" he asked. The first word out of my mouth felt right. Insignificant. Like a needle in a haystack? I agreed, and we sat motionless. It's easy to get lost in the grandeur of it all. Billions of balls of gas, patterns known and ones yet to be discovered. He lifted up his hand and began to trace the constellations as he called them out. Leo, Ursa Major, Orion, and you can still even see parts of Draco over there. He spent a few minutes quizzing me on their usage in navigation, but then sat quiet for a long while. I rubbed my arms for warmth. You know what I think when I look up at them? Unfathomable grace. That took me by surprise. What are we to them? We're the reason that they're here. God created us, his most precious of all creations, and painted the night sky with a beauty that we will never be able to truly comprehend. He wanted us to know that. In his limitless power, he made it all for us. Seems like a waste, I said. Why? I don't know, I said, my darkness peeking out. I guess we're just so small and it's so vast. Size does not equal importance. The day you were born was the most harrowing experience of my life. I didn't know if we were going to be able to raise a child, but the moment I saw your face, I knew that I'd move heaven and earth to protect you. I couldn't find words as my father reached up and wiped away a tear. It was the first time I'd seen him cry. I don't know how to help you get through what you're going through, but just know that your worth is beyond compare to us. Juliet became a sanctuary that we retreated to a few times over the years, but I don't know if he understood how much it meant to me until I asked him if I could borrow it to set sail with my teenage son.
It's very sweet.
That's very sweet.
Oh my gosh.
This is so different from the first one.
Yeah, it is. So what did you think of that? What did you like about it?
Well, I was really going into it expecting something more similar to what we had just read. For the first one. And so I think I was reading it with a little bit too much of anticipation of where it's going to turn into hell.
Like, when is this going to get, like, super magical?
And then it turned into, like, this beautiful father-son, like, spiritual moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was really sweet. I also kept wondering when the space theme was going to
come full circle.
Come full circle. Mm-hmm. And which the stars, obviously, that does sort of become full circle. But I just see that it was, this kid was in a state of real desperation and depression. And this was his father saving him. And
yeah, so this is a piece of historical fiction. And you talk about the Challenger, and I think we're all supposed to know exactly what happened with the Challenger, and I really should. But it doesn't immediately come to mind, although, so you do give context with the paragraphs that obviously the Challenger blew up or
Challenger space
everybody
shuttle,
died.
exploded, and it was everyone was watching worldwide, or at least in America, everyone was watching. It was like multiple people died. Yeah,
Yeah, but that would be like what, in the 80s?
yeah. Literally, I don't think you were born yet. I was like 1.
Right.
So
For like a bit of a younger reader, somebody under 40, maybe somebody from Canada like me, I don't really know exactly, right?
Sure.
And the further we get from the event, the less people will know it. All this to say, basically, I just showed everyone how big of a dumbass I am. But if I don't know, then I think there's other people who don't know.
Sure.
And I would love to know what part of the blowing up of the Challenger specifically broke the protagonist's heart. I mean, obviously, we infer, okay, all of the astronauts died. And so this child is saying, this is too dangerous. I can't do it. Or the child is saying, oh, they're not going to make more of these because it's too dangerous. Maybe they're thinking that there's no future for NASA. Or maybe they're just traumatized because they're actually imagining the physical, real things that are happening to like the human bodies, like in sort of like a more gory, horror, traumatizing kind of way.
Like the kid realized mortality.
Yeah. I think that you spend a lot of time on the boat looking at the stars with the dad and like having that conversation. And I think that the story would be a little bit better balanced if we looked into the actual experience of watching it explode. Like, what did that look like? What did it smell like? What was the weather like? Where were you standing? How large was it in your point of view? And then what was the child thinking of? Like, I'm thinking that if they were thinking of like astronauts being burned alive or something like that.
Sure.
And maybe it's not what actually happened to the astronauts. Maybe it's what a child would imagine was happening to the astronauts. Maybe they died instantly. Something that's specific to the character would be really, really nice. And then the second thing that I would say about this was, so the dad uses 2 cliches, which I think cliches, when they're being said in dialogue, is different than if the narrator uses cliche. But needle in a haystack is one, and then the other one was
Moving heaven and earth, maybe.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Moving heaven and earth. So that's fine. Those are things that a real dad would say,
Sure,
because we use cliche all the time when we talk, so it's realistic. So I think if you put something in there that's a little bit more specific and different and just comes out of your own imagination that means the same thing, it would be more interesting to read, as long as it doesn't take the reader, as long as it's not so weird that it takes the reader out of the story, like as long as it's not like completely out of left field, but it means the same thing. I think that it would be worth spending a little time to figure that out. I love the way that you talk about how the heavens were made for humans because humans were God's most precious, best creation. And I never thought of it like that. I was reading Genesis just the other day. I'm not religious, but I was reading Genesis the other day because my son asked how the world was made. And my mother-in-law was there who's religious.
Okay.
And I said, well, some people think this. Because we've told my son a million times, like the sciencey answers, and he knows about the sciencey stuff. So I read how it goes in Genesis. Anyhow, I like that idea that in the Bible, what we're really told is that we're his most precious creation, and all of the beauty of the universe is just for us to behold and consider God's majesty. It's like to give us an idea of what infinity means so that we have it, which is also very myopic, obviously. humans thinking that they're the center of it all,
Sure.
of course, the center of the entire universe. But it's also a really beautiful idea. And the protagonist doesn't feel special. And this is like a really charming way for the father to explain how special that somebody can be.
The Challenger, I'm just going to show off my little bit of NASA knowledge, which is not much. The Challenger explosion happened at Cape Canaveral. So if his dad drove him to Cape Canaveral, he saw it in person.
Yeah.
This very traumatic event.
And
so
he was probably so excited for
and
it.
at the age of 13.
Yeah.
So and as a kid who went to space camp myself, I could see how that would have been like insanely traumatic. So I do think I'm going to agree with you in this. Like, I want more of how that felt rather than just it destroyed my whole world, void of feeling desire. Those are all like great descriptors of depression. However, where like here it's in this like deep, dark, horrible place, having just witnessed this tragic explosion and how it affected you. And then going into the beauties of the heavens and how it's so special being a father and seeing life being created and watching his son come into the world. So like just having a little bit more on the trauma. I guess I want just a little bit more of the, the trauma, the actual visual, what you felt, what you smelled, just as Kayla said.
Yeah. So Rachel and I debate a lot about, or not, we don't debate each other, but we think a lot about the prescription to show, don't tell. And I learned a little bit about that in the editing thing that I just got on my story. There was a line in my book that said, my mother was at her best on the drive home.
Mm-hmm.
And it's from the character's point of view, right? So she's just pointing out like, oh, my mother's at her best. But that was flagged and it was like, this is just telling us how she is. You should show us how she is.
Sure.
And I was like, oh, fucking everyone's always show, don't tell, whatever. I'm like, well, this is the character's voice. I'm just being voicey. But then I tried it and I changed it to like, my mother was bobbing her head along to an 80s pop song on the radio and tapping her palms against the wheel as we drove through the rain-slicked streets. And so it's like you can see that she's bright, right?
Sure.
That she's like in a really good mood.
Yeah.
And that I just changed those two things. So what Rachel just read from you, what was it? I was devastated.
Oh, right here in this little chapter.
Mm-hmm. Destroy my entire world. I spiraled into darkness, void of feeling and desires. My grades plummeted, and I began to have thoughts about ending it all. That's so sad. Okay, so a way of showing that your grades plummeted, you could say, I began hiding my report cards beneath my mattress before my parents could see them.
Yeah, I also want to know how long was this going on? Because I guess we should know, what was the date of the Challenger thing? Does it say on there? It's his birthday.
My 13th birthday in 1986.
Right. Okay. So let's look. Challenger.
This is a good one. It took 73 seconds to destroy my entire world.
Yeah. Okay. So that happened in January. And so by spring break. So that's a few months. So again, speaking to the people, even though I know what the Challenger explosion was, I have no idea what day, what month that was. So being able to show
the weather
us,
was like,
being able to show us how much time had passed between January and spring break is important. I would have let you know, like, how long were you in this dark spell before Dad brought up going on the Juliet? Was this something that actually really scared your parents into having to take action and like pull you out of this depression? Or how did this work as far as timeline?
Watching the Challenger explode gave this character a feeling of insignificance.
Mm-hmm.
And like nothing that he did ever. Is it a she or a boy?
I'm reading it as when I read it, I had
Thinking of
the
a
visuals of a
boy?
boy, but that just could be
don't know if they
sexist because
say.
astronauts generally we have that little boy astronaut trope. I don't know.
There's never been a woman on the moon still. My daughter fucking told me the other day, my 5-year-old or my 4.5-year-old daughter told me from the backseat. I was like, what do I say to you?
You know, I feel like people should spend more time looking into the ocean. I just don't like space.
She don't like it. If sort of the specifics of the depression has to do with there's this disillusionment that happened, that you thought that you were someone who could go to space and then all your heroes died trying. Like, how does that make you feel insignificant? Connecting those two things.
Tying those two things.
Yeah, how do you tie those things together?
Yeah, I would like that to be tied.
Yeah. Because to me, if I were to see the space shuttle blow up with my heroes inside, I would just think like, I'd be more thinking like the world is such a shitty place. There's no reason to it. Bad things happen to good people. I might as well not even try. Yeah. Like maybe that's what that is. But tying first of all, fleshing out the Cape Canaveral scene would be great. And then second of all, tying that theme, that thread of insignificance from that event to the other one. But we're just saying this because it's interesting, you know, and it has potential, and it's overarching story of this father-son having this relationship, and then the last bit of then he's now experiencing that with his own son. Yeah. On the same boat that was passed down in his family line. I mean, beautiful sentiment, like beautiful overarching story. Yeah, and I don't know how old you are.
He was 13 in 1986. So that if this is your story, which who knows, that we would.
So I think Chris must be like the actual author. I'm guessing that he's older than us.
Yeah,
because of expecting everybody to know exactly what happened that day in 1986 at Cape Canaveral, and also because your email address is at outlook.com, Chris.
Judgy.
But I guess I'm wondering, like, if Chris is a father.
I would guess so.
Because
the sentiment of looking into your child's eyes for the first time, and I mean, cliche or not, you would move heaven or earth. That's a parent's point of view.
Totally.
And I don't know a lot of men who would have that point of view unless they were dads themselves.
Exactly. The last thing that I want to say about this work is that I found the father character and the things that he was saying to his son, like, very aspirational. Like, I want to be that kind of parent who takes the time to teach my children deep and meaningful things in beautiful places. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you to Barry, too.
Yeah.
And you guys.
Boys.
And girls, keep the submissions coming.
Yes.
We're very excited to have this happen in real life. Like,
it is so cool.
It literally makes our day. I get the emails and then I text Kayla and I'm like, oh my God, someone we don't know.
It's so cool.
They care about us. So They're listening. And in Ireland, and I don't know where you are, Chris, but I mean, thank you for listening. It's so exciting.
It's like we're these little ladies in a closet just putting out our little signal to the world, and then people are talking back. It's like very, very nice.
It's really cool.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your submissions. And that was Storytime. Tune in next time for
a little bit more voice. And I'm going to talk to you guys all about my developmental edit letter that I got. Okay. Oh, yeah. And we'll keep you posted on our next book, our next writers group too.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have another meeting in there.
Okay.
Okay, bye.